त्वत्पादधूलिभरितस्फुरितोत्तमाङ्गाः स्वर्गापवर्गनिरपेक्षनिजान्तरङ्गाः कल्पागमाकलनयाकुलतां लभन्ते श्रीवेङ्कटाचलपते तव सुप्रभातम् त्वद्गोपुराग्रशिखराणि निरीक्षमाणाः स्वर्गापवर्गपदवीं परमां श्रयन्तः मर्त्या मनुष्यभुवने मतिमाश्रयन्ते श्रीवेङ्कटाचलपते तव सुप्रभातम्.
Next one, Tadgopura. Next one also, ma?
Next one I can't see here.
20.
Oh, 20 cholitene.
You just said 19, right?
No, I finished.
Oh, you said 19, 20 both? Okay. Sorry.
You want me to repeat?
No, this is good. Thanks, ma. Okay, so Tvatpada Dhuli Bharita Spuritottamanga Swarga Apavarga Nirapeksha Nijantaranga. So there are many joint words here. So it will be good to do a Padacheda, break it down and then look at the meaning. Tvatpada Dhuli Tvatpada Dhuli Bharita Spurita Uttamangaha. Tvatpada Dhuli, the dust of your feet. Tvatpada Dhuli, your feet's dust. Bharita Spuritottamangaha. So it is what we do is you use the dust of your feet is used to apply on oneself with joy. Spurita is to showcase, to show. How do you show? By applying it on you. So continues to say, but what it means in this particular line means is that the dust of your feet is applied by your devotees. Your devotees are applying the dust of your feet on their heads. Uttamangaha. On their heads, they're applying the dust of your feet and they're feeling bharita. They're feeling fulfilled with this action. Swarga, apavarga, nirapeksha, nija antarangaha. So within their own nija antarangaha, antarangaha. Nija antaha angaha means within themselves. What are they feeling? They are feeling nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means they are feeling indifferent. Towards what? Towards swarga and apavarga. So your devotees are taking the dust of your feet and applying it on their heads, on their bodies, and then they are feeling indifferent to swarga and apavarga. So we'll come to what they mean. Then kalpa agama akalana akulatam labhante. So which means kalpa agama. For the times or the kalpas, kalpa means a cycle of time. For the times that are yet to come, they are eagerly waiting to just serve you, be in your presence. Akula means to have a strong eagerness. Akulatam labhante. Labhante means they will attain. They will attain what? They'll attain your feet, the pada dhuli. They will attain to that feet and they're indifferent to swarga or apavarga. Swarga means heaven. Apavarga means liberation. So it's talking about devotees who are applying the pada dhuli. They're taking the dust of your feet, applying it on their foreheads, and they're feeling completely fulfilled with that. And for them, neither heaven nor liberation they seek. They seek neither of those, and they are For time immemorial, they would want to come back and keep doing this. They find joy in this. They find joy and fulfillment in taking the pada dhuli or the dust of your feet and applying it to their forehead and just feeling fulfilled with that, which means being at your service. Okay, so this is what this particular verse, if you break it down, and then Sri Venkatachalapate, O Venkatachalapate, such a Venkatachalapate, Tava Suprabhatam, may it be a glorious morning to you. Okay, so now let us look at that verse a little bit. In those who had come for the Panchadwaraka Yatra, we discussed about the various Vaishnava Sampradayas. In fact, we started off a little bit from the back. So we said Bauddha. If you look at Bauddha, which is as much as possible. In fact, you cannot look at Jaina also. Jaina is slightly earlier than Bauddha. So you had Jaina, then you had Bauddha, then you had the upsurge of Vedanta came. Then you had Advaita Vedanta. Then you had Vishishtadvaita. Then came Dvaita. Then came several other forms of Vaishnava followings. Now, what has happened is through the process of evolution of philosophies, some ideas started becoming stronger in certain forms of philosophies. Some ideas became stronger and some became the core element of the way they associate themselves with this higher, I don't want to call it a being, this presence of something that is higher than me. The presence of something that is higher than me as an individual, the association with that started becoming it. There are dominant ideas that stood out through each of these philosophies. So if you look at Jaina is quite different in many ways, but if you start from the Buddha philosophy, which is predominantly the Buddha philosophy has been translated as Shunya. Although Shunya was articulated by a person called Nagarjuna much later. Right? Nagarjuna was actually a Telugu Brahmin. He took to Buddhism, and then his philosophy is called Madhyamika philosophy, and the whole Shunya kind of came out of that. But the reason I'm saying that is Shunya philosophy there said, in principle, there is really nothing. All of this that is created has been created in our perception. If you break it down, which is why when you go to some level of quantum physics, it kind of tends to agree. A lot of people who do research on theoretical physics, in the space of theoretical physics, come to some understanding and alignment with what this philosophy is, right? Because at the base of everything, they say there is only a stream of consciousness. There is no thing there, no specific thing. And there is no, and this personality, these objects, all that exist are mere creation in a span of time, and they are temporary in that space of time, right? So there's this a gush of creation that happens and it falls off, and it ranges. The span of time ranges from nano and furthermore nanoseconds, or even furthermore the smallest scale of time, to kalpas. We talk about kalpas, right? Yugas and kalpas. So it spans, but then essentially it is just it comes up at the spur and then it dissolves. Everything is, so there is no thing really. There's no thing for you to hold on to. At the end of the day, everything is just complete shunya, right? No thing. There is no particular thing. Then comes the whole Vedanta, where with the Vedic literature, Adi Shankara and other masters have tried to inculcate, bring in dominant ideas saying, no, there is something that you can hold on to, which is Atma. which is Jivatma, Paramatma, and then that the characteristics are Satchidananda, which means there is some characteristics to it. It is truth, absoluteness, and bliss, existence and bliss. And but the idea, dominant idea was you dissolve into it. You become it because you are it. All that you're perceiving now is illusory. Pretty much what the Shunya or the Madhyamika philosophy was. All this is illusory because it's only in perception that it's put together. It doesn't really exist. So in the same way, this philosophy also kind of evolved in that direction. Then came the Vishishtadvaita philosophy of Ramanuja and several others, where they said, you know what, it is too abstract, and which is true. See, today, even if you look at it, for us to understand Shunya and the Madhyamaka philosophy and then just say that there is none of this exists and go into a certain state of complete void within ourselves, it is very difficult. But these are states that there are people who practice and experience these states of void, but it's very abstract, very difficult. Then come to the Advaita where see you are Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, or I am Paramatma, Jivatma, Paramatma, one and the same. Again, very abstract. Because it becomes, now how do I, like the conversation I said I had with a friend, right? I say that, oh, the rock is Paramatma, the shoe is Paramatma, the table is Paramatma, everything is Paramatma. But in my experience, I don't feel that. Well, then they say, oh, you do Mananam, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and you go through the process. Many can, many more cannot, right? They may find it very difficult to, again, because it's very abstract. What am I holding on to? Where is this thing, that Brahman that you're talking about? Where is this consciousness? So you are it. But what I just see myself as this body, this mind, and I have all of them. You are saying I am all powerful, I'm all time, I am Trikala Atita, I am beyond all time, beyond all space. I don't feel any of that. So then you get into sadhana and do all that. But those who do that get to that. But then the starting point is somewhere acknowledging there is a scope for exploration here, right? So it becomes quite difficult. And then comes Vishishtadvaita or Ramanuja and the equivalent philosophies, where they say that no, there is Paramatma, but you are a part of it. Like how the child in the womb is a part of the mother. It's not different from the mother. It's part of the mother. The cells in your body, a part of you. They're part of you. They live and die and breathe and all of that in you. The cells don't understand that there is this body. Each of the cells do their job, their function, and then they're born for a period of time. They do the function and they die. New cells are born. And they have no concept of I am inside this body. In the same way, Vishishtadvaita says that you are a part of this larger body, this Purusha, who's Narayana. You are a Sesha and he is the Seshi, and you are a part of that. So many hold on to that. They say, okay, so there is some Narayana I can hold on to. Okay, there is some Narayana, some person, some godhead, some god figure, like the Christians say, the Father in heaven, right? So like that, there is some person that is there who I can hold on to. Then Madhvacharya comes. Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all. When Madhvacharya comes, he says, see, there is again a difference. He says, there is Paramatma, but you cannot be part of it. You are always separate. You will always be separate. Even if you think liberation is you're going to merge with Paramatma, you will always remain as a separate Jivatma. There is no complete merger for you at all. Because he says now, can you experience that now? You can't. You always will experience Paramatma different from you. Krishna, when you're having an idol of Krishna and you're praying to Krishna, you'll always feel that, oh Krishna, and then you will feel, I am this and that is Krishna. You'll always feel this. So he is saying that continue to worship that way. So in that devotion, in that path of devotion, you will dissolve, slowly you will dissolve your identity, but in reality, your identity will not dissolve. You will still always know that you exist separately. This is Madhvacharya's way of bringing it. This, then again, people may, it's a little less abstract. See, if you look at it, how it has progressed over time, from a very abstract form of philosophy of trying to associate yourself with this principle, governing principle, from the most abstract form, you're trying to slowly make it less and less abstract and make it more and more personal. Okay. Now, then you say this Narayana, this is there. This is the Narayana for everybody, for Muslims, Christians, Sikh, Islam, Zoroastrians, Taoists, everybody. This is the same Narayana. Paramatma is one and the same for everybody. Right? So that is the idea, and you're all different people. This is acceptable because that is how we experience our daily lives, right? But the only problem that comes is I say Narayana is the greatest and everybody is God. Then Christian comes and says Allah is the greatest and everybody is God, and then somebody else comes and says, right? So then those problems occur. But then again, from making it personal, this is a little more personal. And then comes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy, where he says God is separate, I am separate, because they follow Madhva more. They are more of a Madhva kind of a following, but they also consume some of Ramanuja's Sampradaya. But they say, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I don't want to merge. So if you look at the way philosophy is evolved, till the point of Madhva, he says that you can't really merge. Even liberation is you kind of merge, but you still remain separate. Okay. Then in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, I don't want to merge at all. I don't want to merge. I want to be in this form and I want to keep serving Krishna. Whether I'm here, whether I'm in Goloka, in Brahmaloka, in Vaikuntha, wherever I am, Bhagavan is Bhagavan. Paramatma is Paramatma. I want to serve him. I want to take as many births as I want. I can keep coming back again and again and again. I want to serve him. This is the far end of the Vaishnava philosophy, and generally in terms of philosophy and making it personal. So now what you see here, you are now not talking about liberation at all. You're not talking about liberation. For you, what is liberation? The ability to constantly think. There is a very beautiful song by ஐயோ அப்பா அவர் பேர் என்ன, கல்பகா அம்மாவுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும். அம்மா அவர் இவர் மயிலாப்பூர்ல இருந்தாரு, நிறைய வாக்கியக்காரர் ஒருத்தர். he composed many. பாபநாசம் சிவன். correct. So there is one song, மரவா வரம் தாரும். அவரோட தானே அது, his composition.
பிறவா வரம் தாரும் பெம்மானே பிறந்தாலும் உனை
மரவா வரம் தாரும். Amma, your voice is breaking. Voice is breaking, Amma. Amma, it's okay. Your voice is breaking, Amma. இல்ல, your voice is breaking. Mute பண்ணிக்கோ. Yeah. So then I got the song. So maybe her line is bad. All right. So Pirava Varam Tarum, Pirandalum, Marava Varam Tarum, which means even though I am born, which means for whatever reasons I'm born again and again, may I not forget. So this philosophy becomes very dominant in this kind of following. Now, why all of the story, right? We spent about 10 plus or 15 minutes on this story, is to understand how philosophies have developed over time and how people's emotions and the emotion that they have in devotion is varied, right? So here, why the story is because if you look at this line in this, he says, Swarga Apavarga Nirapeksha Nijanta Rangaha. So this whole story is for this. Swarga Apavarga Nirapeksha Nijanta Rangaha, which means he says, I'm indifferent to Swarga or Apavarga. Swarga means heaven, which means heaven means all the joys of life. Heaven essentially means a place where there's indefinite joy for indefinite periods of time. It will exhaust at some time, but then that time from a human scale is pretty much indefinite. It's pretty much large.
The Alvar also sings in one of the Pasurams.
Hmm.
பச்சை மாமலை போல் மேனில இச்சுவை தவிர யான் போய் இந்திர லோகமாழும் அச்சுவை பெரிதும் வேண்டேன் அரங்கமா நகருளானேன். I don't even want to know இந்த இந்திராவோட பதவிக்கு தந்தா கூட எனக்கு வேண்டாம். I need to come back here and serve you, Lord Ranganatha அப்படின்ட்டு.
Correct. Correct. As a beautiful passage. Oh, Amma's line is bad. She's trying to say something. Okay. Never mind. So the idea is, I suppose you get the idea, right? It's about a strong devotion to the Lord in the way that I do not want, not even seeking liberation.
Even
Amma, your line is very bad.
I don't want to go to any other loka.
Maybe it's a residue. Zoom is funny. She's on mute, yet you can hear sounds. It's the residue of the previous this thing, I think. So this is very important when we come to this kind of devotion, and is also interesting, right? And it also ties down to where we say you even stop desiring for liberation, and this is true not just here, okay, not just in this philosophy or this kind of thinking. If you go all the way back, I brought you from Buddha, right? All the way back to Buddha. In the stories of Buddha, it is said that those who have studied and seen the movies or studied about Buddha's story, you see the journey of his meditation that he did in the forest under the Bodhi tree or whatever, the last few days of his intense meditation that brought him to enlightenment. He goes through this whole process of many deep rooted vasanas, all of that comes out. Okay, they come out in the form of desires, they come out in the form of anger, they come in different forms. It comes out. If you see that, if you happen to see any Buddha movies, stories on Buddha, you will see the last few scenes will be, there'll be some dark clouds and ugly figures that will come to attack him and all of that. And then there'll be some three beautiful ladies will come and dance in front of him. So this is all lust, greed, anger, all of that comes out. These are impressions of many lifetimes that are there that come out. And as they come out, he is overcoming all of that. Okay. At the end, just before he attaining nirvana, the story goes that he is still at the brink, which means he is not able to cross over and completely break out. That crossing over point is in his mind. There's a question: what are you seeking? Are you seeking for something called as liberation? And then when he drops everything, he drops his identity, his ego, all his things that he's defined as himself as Gautama Siddhartha. He drops all of that. At the end, he also drops the desire for liberation. Many Buddha images you will see, he will use these four fingers with the right hand. He'll be touching the ground. He'll touch the ground. He'll be seated in a lotus posture, and one of his arms, one arm will be like on his thigh, but one arm will go like that and it will touch the ground. So notice any Buddha images which are like this. This particular imagery shows that he says, now I hold earth as the witness that I am even dropping the desire for liberation. And when you're in that stage, it's after that for him the whole experience of nirvana and the whole, so he crosses over and the experience of complete fulfillment occurs to him. So which means so if you look at it, it's very interesting, right? On one side you are so personal with this god that you're not even, you're just seeking to serve this god. On the other side it's so abstract, yet there you're dropping the desire for liberation. Here you're dropping the desire for liberation because you are so engrossed and so joyful in serving that your identity doesn't matter and whatever happens to you doesn't matter. The joy of serving him is most important, and hence the desire for liberation is dropped. It's a very personal this thing. On the other side, you don't know what you're attaining, but you realize it comes as a lightning strike that even desire for liberation is a desire. When you look at, you're saying you're dropping all desires, but the desire for liberation itself is a desire. So I drop that too, and then he attains to nirvana. This is like how, there's an example that I remember mentioning once. Ramana Maharshi says this. He says, when there is a body that's being burnt, I mean, nowadays you can probably only see it in Kashi. Most other places you'll not be able to see body being burnt that way. It just goes into an electric chamber. But Kashi, you go and see, the body will be there on a log of wood and there'll be wood on top of it. And there'll be a guy who will walk around and take another log of wood to keep prodding and pushing anything that falls out so that the body burns well. So the logs will burn, the body will also burn, but this log he will use to keep doing that. At the end, when the body burns and the logs are about to completely burn, this log he will throw it into that. So the Ramana Maharshi uses this example and says, desire for liberation is like this. That desire you have to hold so that you burn every other desire. But the end, you have to throw that desire also into the same fire of understanding. And then there is completeness. See, very beautiful, the same idea, but it's kind of presented in a very personal way in one front, in one side, and the other in a very abstract way. So both pretty much say Swarga, Apavarga, Nirapeksha, Nija Antarangaha. Within my heart, I don't have this feeling of whether I want pleasures, or you say, no, I don't want pleasures, I'm following the scriptures, I want moksha, because that is the greatest purushartha. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha is the greatest purushartha. So I want that purushartha, moksha, but I come to a certain point that even drop the desire for that. Right? What has happened is,
Bhakti example was telling the
Amma, your line is very bad. Ma. Can't hear at all. Ma. Ma, can't hear at all.
Okay.
Can't hear at all, ma. So, ஒண்ணுமே கேட்கல. You're just cracking up. The voice is cracking up. Anyway, so you see, I'm trying to bring a range of ideas here, just to see that when we get when somebody truly gets closer to some of these as experiences, you can draw parallels, right? These philosophical differences don't exist truly in one who is established in truth. When one is established in truth, these philosophical differences don't exist, because the experience only matters at that time. What matters is only experience. Yes, Mama.
For a doubt, so devotion or bhakti, or whatever we call it, and it's a kind of an emotion. Correct, Ajay?
Yes,
Is it emotion?
it is an emotion.
When we are trying to drop off all kind of attachments, even including emotions, right? So upon the what happens is it's only the you don't have any kind of desire, including even moksha. But again, that can be attained only by some kind of a Upanishad knowledge or Vedic knowledge. When you realize ourselves that who we are and what it is. So when the emotions themselves drop off, isn't the mukti a byproduct upon the world? It's automatically a byproduct. Whether you desire or don't desire, won't it be won't you be liberated once that you have realized yourself and that there is no attachment and
True.
you have nothing, to hold on to.
Absolutely right. What you're saying um, is by means of one coming to a point where he's even given up the desire for liberation, and then but the point is, has that happened out of enough persistence, and at the end you realize that it's it is not, the holding on to it is not going to take me there. See, it's a very subtle understanding. It's a very, very subtle and refined form to look at this, to say that me holding on to this desire is not what is going to get me. That needs to happen. See, like how we say karma cannot take you to moksha. In the same way, desiring for liberation cannot get liberation, cannot give moksha. But when that dropping happens, it should happen after sufficient energy has been built in persistence. Like the example of Osho that I mentioned, right? He at when the sense of fulfillment came onto him, he laughed. The first thing he did was he laughed. And then disciples asked, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "It is so simple. It is right here. It's so crystal clear. It's right here. But for me to get this clarity that it's right here and so crystal clear, I had to do so much of jugglery and so much of jumping around, yoga, tantra, mantra, this, that, and the other, in so many lifetimes." He's having flashes of lifetime, saying that, "Oh, I have hung upside down by a tree. I have stood. I have starved. I have gone to so many gurus. I've done all of this. For what? It's right here." But then the disciple again asks, "Is it so simple? Is it simple and straightforward like this?" No. You have to go through the process.
But இதுல வந்து more of physical activity or involvement. It's more of the mind to do.
It is more of the mind to do, but even the mind also stops doing all the circus after a certain point in time. See, right now we are doing, okay, I'm feeling angry, so let me observe anger. Okay, now I'm feeling this, let me observe this. Let me observe, let me do this, let me do that. Why are we doing this? Because somewhere in the back of our hearts, in our minds, we know we want to get to a state of complete samadhi, which means your mind, intellect and mind and all of that is in an equanimous state. I want to get to that, is a desire that I carry, and I keep doing these exercises. So I do all of this and I come to a point, but again within that point, if you sit in meditation and we go deep enough, we'll realize that we always hit a certain blankness. We will hit a certain blankness. It is very natural, because that is the blankness of our deep sleep, and that is available even right now. The Vijnanamaya Kosha, or the Karana Sharira, which is your storehouse of impressions, that is available even right now, and it is blank. Literally, in your dhyana, you can go so deep, you can go deep, you can go so deep, and you'll hit a blankness. But the cutting through the blankness and then experiencing a light that comes out of that blankness, that the blankness is hidden, or the blankness hides the light. This experience comes when this mental circus also stops. And this one, I'll say this is this is Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha, which is where Krishna, what Bhagavad Gita says, makes a lot of sense. He says, I will give you liberation, do not worry. Of course, the way it is interpreted is very different. Oh, Krishna can only give and all that. That is, I'm not getting into that kind of an argument. But the point is, grace, if you look at, don't forget Krishna. We're talking about grace, infinite grace that is there, providence, that the principle, cosmic, the consciousness principle that is there, grace has to descend. So the mind circus stops, grace descends. That is when this cutting through that darkness and opening up that light happens. But that will only happen through persistence. Does it mean that I stop doing that? No, because by stopping, you're only getting less closer to it. By continuously doing, you're getting little closer, little closer, little closer, little closer. It's like the induction in math. N is 1, n equals 1, you have this, n equals 2, you have this. And then you say induction, by means of induction, n equals infinity, then you maybe say this. Now, when do you hit that infinity? You don't know. So it is a mental state. It is a state of mind, but it is not a state of mind also. Because the state of mind is a reflection of that. You understand what I'm saying? Right now, from where we are, we see this, I bring my mind to a certain state, then I get to this understanding. So it's from the lens of the mind that I'm seeing this consciousness, which is this ever-present Sakshi. The other way is what you see in masters and teachers and all that who have attained that is they see it from the stand of consciousness. When you see it from the side of consciousness, the mind is a tool to reflect consciousness. You understand? It is not the mind trying to see consciousness, but now that I am that Atma, I am that consciousness, then I am trying to see, oh, I can use the mind as a tool to express myself. And this is Maya. This is what we call as Maya or whatever, right? The mind is the tool that I use to express this state of complete fulfillment and joy that I have. But the tool is insufficient. The tool is limited. The tool is conditioned. So when that expression comes out of the tool, it will appear limited. It will appear conditioned. But then what is important in one's experience is that experience of this particular presence. That presence, you listen to Eckhart Tolle, German philosopher. It's amazing the way, in fact, in his presence, you can experience presence. He's a German philosopher. And he's had a very beautiful experience. He writes The Power of Now. Those who have read his book, The Power of Now, I've seen many of his talks. In his presence, you can experience this presence, which means just by him staying there and looking, you'll know that the mind is not operating there. The mind is not operating. So when that presence, in that presence, you experience presence. And that experience of presence is what is spoken of here. So when you say that Swarga, Apavarga, Nirapeksha, Nijantaranga is that even that desire is, the desire for liberation is also dropped. There is no such desire of any form. But that comes through the process of striving, and you hit the point where it naturally drops. You don't drop. Again, it's an important point. I know we are over by a minute, but it's a natural dropping of, like we say, when there is complete understanding, do all my questions get answered? Maybe not, but the questions will drop. It will become irrelevant. Now, when questions become irrelevant, it's not that I am dropping. No, I'm saying, no, it's an irrelevant question. No, it just feels irrelevant. You don't go seeking an answer for that question, but that question doesn't matter to you anymore. This is what happens when understanding dawns. So the same thing when there is a certain state of so you go through this process. When one goes through this process, come to a point or hit a point where we say that this at this point, and again, it's something, it's a very subtle state of experience, right? It's for what we're trying to articulate here is what the people who have or lived in this experience. So the experience there is that this particular desire, there is no further desire, there is no seeking. If you go and ask a Ramana Maharshi or any of these, or Eckhart Tolle, for example, or you say, are you seeking liberation? This or no? Because when that that sense is gone, the sense of fulfillment is there, then this is also not there anymore. This desire doesn't that also drops along with the rest of it, right? So this is the particular shloka. Tvatpada dhuli bharitas puritottamangaha. So by applying this dust, they feel completely exhilarated. Why? Because the desire, swarga, apavarga, nirapeksha, nijantarangaha. Kalpagama kalanaya kulatam labhante Sri Venkatachalapate tava suprabhatam. So having experiencing that state, being in that state, O Venkatachalapate, may I be in that. So now let me continue to serve you, do whatever, kainkaryam, like Mama was saying yesterday. I continue to do this for eternity, right? So either we are in that eternity, I continue serving, or we are in this form of Buddha, Shunya, whatever we want to look at. We say there's no further desire at all. Even liberation is not a desire anymore, right? So that is the shloka. Shriyakantāya Kalyananadhe Nidherthinam Shri Venkata Nivasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Subhavat Karomi Yatyachakalam Parasmai Narayanaya iti samarpayami Sadashivaya iti samarpayami Jagadambikaya iti samarpayami Sadgurunathaya iti samarpayami Hari Om Tat Satguru Namaha.